In a world surrounded by franchises, reboots, and shared universes, an elite team of podcasters will risk body and soul to investigate the depths of intellectual properties, one multiverse, subgenre, and trend at a time. Who are we? We're the IP Squad. Welcome back to the IP Squad, our continuing investigation into screen adaptations of Stephen King works. I'm John Campbell, my partner for this investigation, Elliott Lewis.
Hey, John. Play some damn bebop.
There you go. Oh, boy. This one, I feel like this is an interesting entry in this, because this is, number one, the most, like, some of the most King control we've seen on a thing, and it's a project born of King's dissatisfaction with one of the other. So in some ways, this is the most direct conversation we've seen between two of the works we've covered.
Yeah. And I think the most direct conversation, I think, between a King original and a King adaptation, because he is kind of contributing a lot to this one.
Yeah, the whole impetus of this, basically, we're talking about 1997's The Shining miniseries, and basically the entire impetus of this project is that Stephen King didn't like the other Shining thing. It's entirely born out of a negative reaction to something. Yeah. And so this is a in the words of Thanos, fine, I'll do it myself kind of moment, right? Like, I'm sure Stephen King would love to be compared to Thanos. But yeah, it is sort of a thing where it's like, he fucked it up, and it's almost a little bit like, all right, King, then put your money where your mouth is too, right? Like, if you thought it was so terrible, what's your version? And he did it. And there are things working against this outside of Stephen King, but there's also just classic Stephen King short-sightedness or can't see his own flaws in this, for sure.
Not been able to see the forest for the trees.
No, because it is. I think we've touched on this as existing briefly, and I think one of the things we've said is, like, you can't argue he didn't do what he set out to do, which is he put pretty much everything from the book on screen.
The only question is, was that a good idea?
I would say most people are probably, and I think we're probably in agreement, no, it's not, because I think the biggest overarching thing of this first season of the IP Squad is movies aren't books, and even miniseries aren't books. It's so interesting. You always hear people talk about this now. There's so much discussion, especially in today's world where everything is becoming a limited series, and there's always this thing like, oh, this should have. It's one of my least favorite criticisms, and you can hear me get upset with this on many an episode of any movie review podcast I've been on, where people go like, I wish this had been a miniseries. And I just go, that's a different format. I understand you can get deeper. But even still, I think this miniseries is a perfect example of, I get why people go, this novel's so expansive, it needs to be a miniseries. And this begs the question, does it?
Does it?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I wish this had been a miniseries. No, actually, I don't think you do.
No, because I also see way too many miniseries these days where I'm like, oh, God, this thing is dragging like crazy. Because oftentimes when as we were talking about, there's mediums, and particularly King, who loves a tangent and loves to go, here's the thing about this guy that lives in the town or whatever, the thing you got to know about this. And
again, as we've discussed, that kind of thing works. Now, as far as King is concerned, it works better in some of his works than it does others.
Right.
But when he is really like on his game, that works really well for him in a novel.
Absolutely.
And it is not a thing that works very well in in a visual.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because this is very. I'm watching this. I also did think I'm going like, man, because this is a 3-part. We did it as another miniseries, which was a 2-part. This is a 3-part miniseries, and that's too much time. That's way too much. I was thinking like, even if you took the same thing and if King was forced to cut this down into 2 parts, I think it would at least move better. If not, I don't know about, we can get into, because there's some stuff that's doing this in just by being a 1997 piece of television. I think that's a big thing where I think the comparison of the Kubrick movie is unfair in some ways, simply because the resources at your disposal are much different. And I think I did, and I'll share factoids from this. We talk a lot about the Just King Things podcast, but I also listen to another podcast called The King Cast, which I recommend people check out. I may have mentioned it before. They're a little bit less in depth than Just King Things, and they are guest driven, in that they bring on a guest every week who talks about their favorite King novel. Or sometimes they do movie stuff too, but they also will do interviews with a lot of people because I think they have connections in Hollywood. These guys work in the industry. But I listened to their interview with Steven Weber. That is very interesting, and that was one of the things he brought up. Is he just goes like, "Look, I don't want to. I'm not going to put us against the Kubrick movie because," he goes like, we had we had only this much money and this much time." And the biggest, craziest thing that I see out of this is Weber got cast 4 days before they started shooting.
Okay.
Yeah, because and I think maybe this speaks to this will get us into the mindset that Stephen King is going this into. He apparently really dragged his heels on casting a Jack Torrance, and at one point said, maybe we just don't do it because there isn't a Jack Torrance out there.
Yeah. I mean, right when we were talking about the Kubrick movie, that like, he had some very particular thoughts. And I, as far as the character of Jack Torrance is concerned, he has had some very particular thoughts, whether they've been direct or, inferred by the text.
And that seems to always, like there's so many things that he's criticized that Kubrick movie for over the years, but he always comes back to the Nicholson casting, right? Like that seems to be like number one biggest problem is Nicholson is so wrong for this part. And so then when he's like, okay, you get to pick your own Jack Torrance, he apparently is still just going, no, no one exists.
Yeah.
And I just find it so interesting, as we've talked about, his love for this character is so fascinating to me.
And I feel like I've within the past couple of years, I have like listened to the Stephen King audiobook, or the Shining audiobook.
Yeah.
And it feels like it, and I don't 100% remember, but it seems like in writing the teleplay for this mini series, he is going a little bit harder and a little bit more like having it be like constantly Jack saying like, no, I love my son and my family.
Yeah.
No. I love my son and my wife.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I love these people. Like, it really feels like he is doubling down on this, like trying to be like, no. Jack's a good guy.
It's one of the problems I think often is the case when authors or creators or filmmakers or whatever revisit their work and are like, actually, upon reflection, you're like, no, now you've been thinking about it too long. Now it's no longer it's George Lucas tinkering with Star Wars, right? Where it's like, this always bothered me. It's like, you're not making it better. I understand this has been like irking you forever. And so that really is what this feels like to me too, where he's just like, actually, and then we'll talk about the fucking last scene of this thing is inexcusable and it's one of the worst things King has written. It's really bad.
Like, it was bad in the book. Like, I remember there are things about the book, like the audiobook, that I don't quite remember, but this last scene, the graduation scene,
Oh
is one of the
God.
things I remember so distinctly because it
Oh.
was just so corny, but like in the worst way.
And has, I mean, like totally undercuts the tone of the entire rest of the thing. It is
Yeah.
shocking, really. And I was taken aback by it once more when I was says. Let's also talk about the fact that this thing is just, for all intents and purposes, doesn't exist. We had to really track this thing down because aside from the DVD release, it's basically nowhere.
Yeah.
This is just forgotten. And I think watching it, I will say that kind of is appropriate in some. I mean, you should. I'm a fan of everything should be available wherever, and if you want to see something, but the idea that that there are people who have vitriol towards this, I don't think it's not like embarrassingly bad.
No, it's one of those things. Like I think the most extreme feeling, like the thing that the feeling I have about this that could be like that could be taken as extreme is just that like I'm just kind of bummed
Yeah.
a little bit. Like it is unfortunately less than the sum of its parts,
Yeah, I think
which
that's true.
is it's just yeah, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, this could have been it's weird that this was worse as bad as it is.
That's the thing about, because the biggest thing I thought of it was, I'm like, oh, yeah, I think and it's a similar feeling what you're talking about, where I go like, I would like to see a Shining that's more like the book, but this isn't it. Is there a middle ground between what Kubrick did and is there a middle ground between like basically doing nothing from the book and doing everything from the book?
Yes, but unfortunately, in terms of 1997, it won't come out for another 22 years.
Oh, it's Doctor Sleep.
17 years.
Yeah, it's Doctor Sleep.
I'm talking about Doctor Sleep.
Yeah, which we'll get to, and I do love, and is very much Flanagan trying to wrestle with these two things. But no, but that's the thing is like I would have loved to have seen. I wish King didn't write this. I wish somebody else had come to The Shining with their. I'm going to focus on this aspect of the novel or whatever, like somebody else's view of it, because what you have, King doesn't adapt. King just literally puts his book on screen. And we've talked about this, that he's not a gifted screenwriter. He's too close to the material.
Yeah, at least not in a. Well, again, right, this is a mini series, but like I would say that that we could maybe call, well, no, I don't know, because it is weird. It's set up for the commercial breaks, right? And one of the things I learned about the making of this is Mick Garris kind of briefly talking about like it's like you're making a bunch of 15-minute movies.
Which is I think Mick Garris has the right approach to that. Is like that is how TV is designed, right? You're telling it's chapters within chapters, right? Like and I think Mick Garris. This is the first thing we've done that's directed by Mick Garris. Yes. Yeah. Right. And he's somebody who, of course, as we've talked about, is like one of King's people. But I also think there's Mick Garris, to me, one of the things I thought about this is not only did King write this, but in Mick Garris, who I think is a competent director. I don't think I've ever seen anything that was like that blew me away. But Mick Garris always does good work, has a basic understanding of how to put something on film. But Mick Garris is, and I see this discussed all the time, like in the comic book world, stuff like this, is like, why don't they get more fans to do it? You're like, because Mick Garris is why, when you're this indebted to the material, and literally, like Steven Weber talked about in that interview, King was on set every day. Always in the corner, even if he wasn't saying anything. King was just overseeing everything, which is just unnerving to think about. Is that now you're slavish. And I think that was something, it's interesting we talked about when we did the first Pet Sematary movie as well. Marion Lambert talking about just like, I love the book. I just wanted to create the book. And it's like, and there were times that movie would have behooved that movie to veer away from the book in some way.
Yeah.
And so I do think there is something to, this guy took a lot of flack on from comics people, but one of the Marvel producers talked about when somebody comes in and says, I adore the comics. They're my favorite thing. They go, that's kind of a red flag for us sometimes. And I'm like, I actually get that when people go like, oh, they, idiot comic book fans are going, they don't care about the material. It's like, that's not it. It's just somebody needs to be able to look at this thing and go, how do we take this and put it into this?
You need to be able to take a step back.
Right. And sometimes when you're so in love with a thing, and especially that's also sort of the inherent problem at the core of this, is this project was designed from the ground up to be, no, this is the definitive. They're trying for the definitive, and that's dangerous.
That is also a trap. That's a trap.
Yeah.
Like, film and literature and film are art forms, and art is about interpretation.
Yeah. And that's it exactly. And to me, some of the best stuff is when you see this person's version of a thing, this filmmaker's version of a thing. And that is why I do have respect, even if I don't adore the Kubrick movie like some people do. I do have respect for it. That is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And what that opens the door to is it would be cool to see somebody else's version of The Shining. This is not that. This is just slavishly trying to put the words on screen. The other big thing, of course, was in terms of King's criticisms of the Kubrick movie was the portrayal of Wendy, and it's the exact opposite of his Jack Torrance thing. He had Rebecca De Mornay cast years before this came in, and that was just, it has to be her. In fact, she was the one apparently who was finally like, you should cast Steven Weber. That's you should use Steven Weber. Now, it's interesting that the other person that they were really pushing for this was Tim Daly, the other guy from Wings. It was going to be one of the Wings guys. And then who King does use in King and McGarris use in Storm of the Century. Yeah. I mean, and
also fine.
Yeah, I mean, Storm of the Century I like more than this, certainly, because at least it's an original thing.
Yeah.
But it does still suffer from that. Even King's original screenplays still suffer from King stuff. Although Confiore as the villain in that does rule.
He eats it up in the best way possible.
Absolutely. But Weber talked about on the set of this movie, they all had their copies of the novels, and if there was ever any discussion of anything, go to the novel. Never doubt that the answers are in this book. But then also he had a
good book, I like to call it.
He had a great story though, where he said, I became really fixated on this lyrical passage from the book. And I finally just went over, I said, Steve, what does this mean? And he looked at it, he goes, I don't know. I was drinking a lot when
Oh, is that the Medoc line?
The Medoc line. That's it, exactly. Yeah. And he's just like, and literally he's just going, Medoc, what's a kind of wine? On the floor. I was probably looking at the floor, and literally it was the least. And Weber is just going like
reverse engineering how he can.
Yeah. Let's see. God. How did I don't know. It probably was just right. And it's literally just like I was probably just looking around and writing the stuff. I was probably talking about the pattern of the carpet I was looking at, and Stephen, you could see Weber just describe it like, and then my heart just fell as I was like, oh, because I'd been reading over this passage and going like, is there some key to this character I can unlock from? And then Stephen King's just like, I was just writing a bunch of stuff. I don't know. And almost going like, what do you want to hear, actor? Yeah. And that's the thing. That's
my theory that Stephen King oftentimes is just the Marge Simpson. I just think that their neat name is he's not beating those allegations.
That's 100% that thing. And you're just like, oh, geez. And that's I will say is the case with his performances, because I think Steven Weber is a very good actor, and I've seen him be very, very good. And there are parts in this where he's great.
Yeah, and also, okay, I will say, I have to expose myself here. Yeah. I have been mixing up Gary Cole and Steven Weber for an uncomfortably long time.
I can kind of see that.
So I kind of thought that that's who that was in this going up to this, and having not seen it for a really long time, and I was like, this is not the man I thought this was.
No.
So also, I've never seen besides this, I've never seen a goddamn thing Steven Weber's been in.
Wow, okay.
I only like have tangential knowledge about Wings.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
No, nothing.
And actually,
but
yeah. Oh, no, go ahead.
I will say that Steven Weber. I mean, you can tell that he is doing his damnedest.
Oh God, I mean, there are times you can literally feel like the muscles he's working as an actor. He is trying so hard to make and a lot of that is in King's writing. Is, as you talk about this, he was trying to create more of this back and forth in Jack, and that is so fucking hard to play. Because, and the other thing is, Weber talked about he really struggled with the shooting the movie out of chronology, right? And so he's talking about, he said, especially because he got hired so late, is he was going like on a day-to-day basis trying to figure out, okay, how crazy am I right now? And you can kind of feel that in his performance at times, where you go like, but that's where I also can't figure out if that's him or the script or the direction exactly. But that's one of the things that the Kubrick movie really does excel at over this movie, is just that descent of Jack Torrance. Once he goes, he's just gone. Like, and here,
and it does help. And again, I get Steve's like being like, oh, like casting Jack Nicholson, like I know it's gonna happen, but like it does help. Right, I mentioned in that episode that Jack Nicholson looks kind of freaky, even when he's being like not nice. I'll give him genial. Even when he's being genial as Jack Torrance, like he looks kind of scary. So like, it helps. Like all of that stuff helps in the kind of progression of that character arc, and also I think it was a good idea for Jack to be a little bit, testy, even when he's not crazy Jack Torrance in the Kubrick version.
Because like, he is. That's that perfect example of like, Steve, don't you know what you wrote? Like when you have in this, and you're literally showing him pummeling that student, right? That was slashing his tires. You're like, clearly the man's already like, and he broke the kid's arm, and he was drinking, but he kind of wasn't. But he wasn't drinking, although they do the whole thing about dry. It's like, Steve, I get you've been through the program. That's very, very clear. Like it's and good on King, of course, for getting sober. That's great. I'm so happy for him for that. But yeah, it is sort of a thing, and Weber is. On paper, I get that's what he wants Jack Torrance to be, right? I mean, Weber, especially at this time, if you've seen Wings, he played a lot of sort of waspy, upper middle class guys who often do comedic effect, sort of have some sort of undoing of sorts, right? Like he even talks about that on the Kingcast episode. He goes, that's what I was doing at this point before I've transitioned into the period of my time now where I play douchebags in suits. It's like that's it's a great interview because he's it's a great perspective into the mind of just like a working actor, a guy who's not like a massive star but just does a lot of stuff. He's very clear about, and also I didn't realize how much King stuff he's done. Weber, because of course they talk a lot about his It audiobook that people just love. His work doing
that was the It audio, like the version that I listened to recently.
He's been praised,
again,
and that
thinking it was cool. So I know Steven Weber's never gonna listen to this, but like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm just dumb. Okay.
No, but he's done that. He also adapted. He adapted himself and directed an adaptation of one of King's short stories for the '90s Outer Limits show.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That was, and they were excited about that. And once again, he's very real. He goes like, I had limited resources and the effects were dated, but he goes, but I got Catherine O'Hara to star in it, and you just can't go wrong with it. Yeah, I'm like, I want to see this. The guys on I gotta catch that. The guys on the podcast were also going like, where is this? Can we watch this somewhere? It's I'm trying to remember the name of the short story, but it's the one where the woman thinks the painting of Jesus is talking to her. And starts making her do. I don't know this one either. I didn't immediately offhand. know it, but let's see, The Revelations of Becca Paulson. Now, what I like though is he said the network was like, it can't be Jesus. So it is.
It can never be Jesus.
It's they came up with a clever. He was describing it. He plays the photo, which is the stock model in the 8x10 frame that starts talking to her. I'm like, okay, that's kind of clever. But anyway, he also did that. He did. He's also in the Desperation miniseries, which I do like that he's like. That one I'm not as proud. He was very. He goes, I had a great time. He goes, Ron Perlman is a great guy to spend a lot of time with. But
yeah,
he's like, I don't know that one worked as well. And then he's also in he's in the Nightmares and Dreamscapes with the all the dead rock stars. Was it They Must Have a Hell of a Band or whatever?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, then maybe I have seen something because I watched that episode.
Yeah, when
that show.
He's the main guy in that. So. Anyway, yeah, he's done a lot of, and then he also did I don't think it's a King thing, but he also did a Mick Garris directed episode of Masters of Horror as well. So, and he's great. Once again, go listen to that episode over on the King Cast, because he's also a huge nerd and was talking about, I just love being in horror stuff, and he's a big Star Trek guy, which of course made me very happy. So it's like he's great. He actually, like I said, I have a lot of goodwill towards Steven Weber, which I think is why I am just going like. And there are even times he goes, I'd love to get another crack at it. He goes, I look at my performance in The Shining, and I'm just like, he goes like, there are times where I just go like, oh, if only I could. I just need it. That you just need to back off on that a little bit, or go a little bit. But the interesting thing he talked about was he said they asked him, did you feel some trepidation about it because of Nicholson? And he's like, no, because it was so clearly that they were just kept going, no, this is the book, you're doing the book, this is not what Nicholson did. And that was very and
yeah, okay,
but that's I think that's the answer is like, yes, but also what is that? Like, really, once again, what is book Jack Torrance? And also to the public watching, Jack Nicholson is that character. I mean, like, it's impossible to step away from. I would never have included a shot, even if he doesn't say the same thing, where his head comes through the. I would never have put that in there.
I was thinking about that, and like, could they have gotten in trouble for, like, is that something that could have been, or does it count as as like fair use?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because the whole rest of it's different. They just used that one shot.
That one shot. And when he put his head through, I'm like, he can't possibly say here's Jude, right?
He can't possibly be.
No. And he says boo, which is not nearly as interesting. No. And
I wouldn't have included any close-ups because you can definitely tell that is particle board inside of a door frame. I had that thought when that was happening. Like, yeah, I don't think Steven Weber was a firefighter.
No, but by God, he's got the croquet mallet instead of the axe, so this is definitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other big thing is they actually shot this at the Stanley Hotel, the real hotel that King based it on. But it's one of those things where it's like, it is the real hotel, but I like the hotel in the movie better. Like, that's the thing. It's more evocative. It is more interesting. It's designed. This was,
well, John. We're a little biased because half of that hotel is up about
it's
30-minute drive, or an hour drive.
It is true. It is true. And it is all. Anytime I've been up there, it is like, oh man. But Weber did say it was nice because they all stayed at the Stanley Hotel, so he said he would just get up and walk downstairs to set, which is. That's pretty nice gig.
Hell of a commute.
Yeah, right? That's not bad. But, yeah, there is something about, like, this is that thing where, once again, it's like, no, it's the real hotel that's based on. You're like, yeah, but the fake one that they built was cooler. Like, it just didn't. It feels more closed in, which I think is, Garris is going like, yeah, it's more claustrophobic. You're like, yeah, but the big empty halls were actually scarier.
Yeah,
Speaking of that, this isn't remotely scary, right? I mean, we're broken. You and I both are broken human beings, obviously. But
I did try, like, right. I did try. I tried to give, because again, I haven't seen this in so many years.
Same here.
I tried to give, to like, try my hardest to come into it like, okay,
yeah,
this is I'm gonna try to look at all the stuff that they're trying to say is scary, and I'm gonna try to give it the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
The hedge animals moving, like when they're actually moving, like the CGI effects, not great.
Terrible.
I will say that the kind of like weeping angel-esque moments where like they are shifting at, like when the camera moves, that's pretty effective.
Yeah.
That was kind of scary when he's like running away from them in his snowshoes and kind of having the moment of like,
and there's the sound and the snow falling off of them. Yeah. It's like a lot of stuff, right? It's the smaller moments. And then when they're full on CG, you're like, stop, please.
Just
you have to realize this is terrible.
Yeah.
We're just not there yet with the TV CGI, folks.
Nah. Even some of the like puppet shots were even like, if they had, I don't know. It's just, again, don't try to fix the movie. Stop.
No,
it's already out.
But like,
you can't fix it.
Long ago. It's already out and forgotten. That's the thing, is this just won't have the. And what's interesting is I was actually reading a lot of reviews at the time were very positive. Like TV Guide gave it this rave review where they're just like, it's so evocative and scary and well made, and you're like, is it? I mean, I know '97 TV was different, but then you've got.
But like, again, there's been scarier episodes of the X-Files.
Yeah. 100%. There was other better horror TV on at that exact moment. I'm pretty sure that Outer Limits we were talking about probably has more scares. You know.
But.
Yeah, it's just the
aside from I think literally aside from the, I think that specific scene of him running away from the hedge animal, trying to run away from the hedge animals in the snowshoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really think anything else like would have scared me. And I think actually that hedge animal scene, I think, is actually exactly what scared me the most when I watched it like the one time as when I was 8.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly.
Well, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Because the other thing is that's number one, something Kubrick didn't do. And it's something King is very good at. A lot of King's scariest stuff is when he's putting the normal or mundane and adding some sort of supernatural thing to it. And so it is sort of just like, well, yeah, there are hedges around, and well, what if they move? It is that, I mean, done, as you mentioned, by the Weeping Angels, infinitely better as the whole thing. And the whole idea of something moving while you're not looking at it is also, it's one of those things where it's like, that's inherently a cheap, effective horror thing. Why would you go at the CGI version? That's a huge mistake, Mick Garris. Who, once again, I have nothing really. Mick Garris seems like a really cool guy who I would love to hang out with, based on everything I've ever read. Also, he does pop in. He's at the AA meeting.
Yeah.
And his wife is the woman in room 217.
Oh, interesting.
Cynthia Garris, who they've been married since 1982. So good on you, folks. That's nice. And I don't think she is like an actress per se, but she's in all the stuff he's done.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think she was great. It's the woman in 217.
I agree. Yeah. She's also in something I think we may have to add to we're going to do the bonus episode about Maximum Overdrive, but I think we should also do a bonus episode about Sleepwalkers, which is a Mick Garris directed.
We gotta, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, some of the more created for specifically film King stuff, I think, will be what our Patreon content is. But that's also Mick Garris directing. Yeah, this is sort of just, and Mick Garris is of course coming off of he had just done The Stand before this. And
right.
Somebody he's posited for this as well was using Gary Sinise from The Stand as Jack Torrance, and that could have been interesting.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like that would have been, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he plays a dick a lot, and so I
Yeah,
feel like that might have been a thing King would have had
that's probably
more
what.
issue
But that's
with.
gonna say because I was gonna say Sinise has a little bit more of the Nicholson thing where it's like there is a little bit more danger behind him. They cast instead the most normal guy in Steven Weber or Tim Daly, both of those guys, and they played brothers on Wings, so that makes sense. But yeah, he really wants this like because King is like, well, it should be kind of a guy like me, right?
Yeah.
A more handsome me.
Yeah.
TV me.
I will say that I think I was very like, I feel like when you say you're pleasantly surprised, it always comes off condescending, like generally speaking. Like,
Yeah.
but Steven, when he was doing the like the moments where his face is all like nastied up and
Yeah.
he's like yelling and running everywhere and smashing stuff, but he did a really good job.
I agree. I actually think the big height moments he really does nail, and
Yeah.
I did like the them doing the bloodied face and stuff like that. That's really not in the Nicholson version because Nicholson doesn't need that. Whereas here
Yeah.
you are taking what looks like the handsome guy who lives down the street and making him monstrous. Now,
Yeah.
that's a compliment to this. I'm about to bash the makeup because all the dead ghosts look like shit. I mean, really,
Yeah,
there's a comment from the makeup artist on the IMDb thing about like we wanted to give them sort of these white skin with black marks. I'm like, that's literally like a high school production. I mean, they really look like a high school play.
I was literally like that's the makeup I did when I was like going back to my high school and helping with when they were doing Addams Family. Like that's
Yes.
literally the makeup we did. Because
Addams
we
Family.
had to do like 60 fucking ghost kids.
Yes, and that's what it is. And there he is. There's our boy Uncle Stevie, all painted up like that. Oh, and God damn it! Once again, you can always sense he's so happy to be acting.
Yeah, he's having a great time.
He's having so much fun. He's literally mugging to the camera in parts as the band leader, Gage Creed.
Gage Creed.
I see what you've done here. And yeah, he's doing and it's but yeah, and how much of the movie has like especially the characters who are in it for long periods. It's one thing when it's like the party full of people, right? But when you've got Grady and stuff like that, who's in like whole scenes with Steven Weber in that making, you're like, oh God, now give me time to really look at it. This is not good, you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah. Let's talk about some of the other people in the movie. I want to get to Rebecca De Mornay in a second, but I got to say one of the big problems I have with this is Danny. He is the exact opposite of what the Kubrick thing. We praise the Kubrick, and actually we praised a lot of these movies for having very real kids. And this one, I'm like, oh, this is a Hollywood kid. This kid has been to acting classes.
Yeah.
He's not like terrible, but he's
No, and I have a soft spot for this actor specifically because like as in terms of voice acting, like huge part of my childhood.
oh yes, Recess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's my guy Gus.
Yeah. I shouldn't tell you what's become of him then.
Okay.
He's part of we'll just say he's wearing a certain red hat on his Instagram.
Oh, I was gonna
page.
say it's the fact that we're recording this on January 6th to have anything to do with
Yeah,
it.
it really does. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mondo bummer. Okay,
Yeah.
then he sucked.
Yeah. No,
No,
I agree. I also loved Recess as a kid, and he was great in that. And he's good. He's a talented kid, but he's doing that kid acting thing.
Yeah.
In this,
Yeah.
there are times when I can see it's like you've been directed to be cute right now.
Yeah.
This kid's been in a million commercials, as opposed to like the just totally real kid that Kubrick pulls out of obscurity and feels so legitimate and like he's not. It feels like he's not acting in that in The Shining, the Kubrick version. And same thing about a lot of the kids in It as well. And then even more so when we get to the Muschietti one, where I just think that cast is as good an ensemble of kids as I've ever seen. Like I said, he's not bad. He doesn't like ruin it. He's a kid. I can only be so rough on him. But yeah, you get the sense that this is a kid. This kid is calling his agent to hear back about a callback about something. You know, he's coming off of the Little Rascals at this one.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
I do think he was in a Cheerios commercial.
Oh, he had to have been, right? I mean, like, it feels like this kid was in a billion commercials before he was in this. First appeared in a commercial for Kellogg's cereal snack pack at age 4 was his acting debut. So he's like a veteran by this point. He's doing this, you know? Yeah. And that's the thing. He's got a little bit of that Hollywood kid polish on him that kind of annoys me. I was talking about, like, I think I might have mentioned this before. There's like a voice that like Disney Channel kids have. There's like a vocal pattern they fall into. Mm-hmm. And it's always just like, oh, you're like a kid trying to sound like a kid. It's so weird. And there are a lot of moments he has in this like that, where you're just like, and anytime he's just like, Daddy? And you're just like, oh no.
And it's worse because then they do say that he's 7 at one point, and it's like, oh, maybe you should have tried to play him off as 5.
Yeah. yeah. It hurts because Danny obviously is so the heart of this thing. Mm-hmm. And everyone, literally everyone in the movie is around him, right? Is sort of orbiting his performance. So Danny is so key to the thing, because I think that's where Melvin Van Peebles, an amazing actor, I think does a really good job as Dick Halloran, but I think those scenes suffer because it doesn't have that the warmth that Scatman Crothers and Danny Lloyd have in the original movie just can't be captured, even though I think Van Peebles is doing a really good job as Dick Halloran.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is like, right, this is what I mean when it's like it's less than the sum of its parts, is like Steven Weber doing a great job. Melvin Van Peebles, despite the movie forgetting he exists until the third part.
That is the thing that is, I couldn't, huge mistake. I think everybody is, number one, they certainly didn't get any, like, nobodies. They're all experienced, really good actors. Elliott Gould, arguably slumming it for, what, a day? Would he come in for a day? And you're like, what a waste.
And also, like, and listen, I love Elliott. Like, Elliott Gould is a great actor. He is phoning the vibes that he is, like, his performance, I'm like, is giving Big Craig from Parks and Rec energy, but like unintentionally.
Yeah, I know.
I don't hire alcoholics.
Yeah, it's true. He's just like, whereas the once again. It is unfair. I'm comparing it to the Kubrick movie, but I'm comparing it to things where that are more in control of this, not budgetary stuff or building of sets. Like, everybody in that movie feels so just managerial. And, you know, Jack, tell us about yourself. Yeah, all of a sudden, Elliott Gould comes in with, I think Craig is a good, like, just a cattiness that's like, what the fuck? Where is this coming from? And it's almost like, did you read the rest of the script, or are you just like, you're going to be trouble, mister?
Yeah. And like, just a weird inflections, weird tone.
Gould is going for that supporting actor Emmy nomination, going like, if I do a lot, maybe my one scene will stand out because I'm Elliott Gould.
But it's like, he's doing, it's like a lot, but also very robotic almost. Like, he's...
Yeah. Well, because when you're as good an actor as Elliott Gould, you can kind of sleepwalk through a thing and still be kind of interesting, right? It sort of just seems like it's a little bit like, we were just talking about Vincent Price before this, where it is like, this is that thing where it's like, oh, you're not getting Gould's A game. Yeah. And you've got him for it. It's just so weird that somebody of his level is playing Ullman, right? Like, it's such a weird... He worked probably half a day for that one scene or whatever. And he's just... But then once again, you need to... This is another King thing, not to borrow their shtick, but it is like that he needs the whole monologue about the croquet game. And you're like, none of this is important at all, except for later there's a croquet mallet. which I would have. You could have had him grab, and I wouldn't have been like, now hold on a minute.
Now where'd he get that croquet mat?
Plot hole.
Like even just I mean, right? There's the fact that people are playing croquet while he's there is enough. It's enough.
Yeah. Yes. That was all. Because in fact, when I was watching it and they cut to people playing croquet, I'm like, oh, because he's going to use the mallet later. And then it's like, it goes like, oh no, we don't just play croquet. We have our own croquet game, which was created by this guy who, it's what's the name of the gangster guy?
Forrest Derwent.
Yeah, Derwent. Yeah. And of course, we got to see all of that later. All of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, great. I was listening to somebody talking about this, and they just go, this makes me like Kubrick a lot more as a filmmaker. Somebody's going, because when you see this, you just go like, oh, I would, and I kind of have a similar thing where it's like, I think Kubrick cut too much, but Kubrick was absolutely right to cut a lot. As I think De Palma's the better example, or I've talked a lot about how much I love the Cronenberg Dead Zone movie. Is the same thing, where it's more about honing it. Kubrick took it down to, I want it to make no sense and to like leave you feeling bizarre, like unexplained.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. The first thing you got to do if you take any King novel is start going this, and this gone right off the bat. And a lot of this stuff but thank God Max is going to give us now a whole show about the history of the Overlook. Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that.
I mean, it's all there. That's the thing. King has it's like the Pet Sematary prequel thing, which we're going to finish up our season about, where you go like, dude, it's all there. I mean, I understand why if you're looking for IP, like our show is talking about, King gives you a lot because he can't stop.
Yeah, he just can't. Again, not to borrow from JKT, but he just can't help himself.
He really can't. It is just like he's just like, no, I need you to know. I need you to know this.
I need you to know.
I'm sorry. I did figure it out.
Listen, I know that you're already invested in my fucking my OCs, my original characters, but I need you to know all of this other stuff that's in my brain about it. Like, right?
Yeah.
As a person who has never actually produced a piece of fiction, despite having a lot of it running around in my brain.
Sure.
Like, that is the trap that is easy to fall into, is oversharing because you've got all this stuff in your head about this world that you've created, about these people that you're imagining.
Yeah.
And again, sometimes it works.
Sure.
Sometimes it doesn't. And unfortunately, King is uneditable now, so we'll never get back to not having we'll never get back to the point where he had Carrie turn into a kaiju and his publisher was like, or his editor was like, maybe not.
Well, watching this kind of reminds me a little bit of, on a smaller scale, but just because of the resources he has, but it's like the difference between the original Star Wars trilogy and the prequels, right? Where it's like all of a sudden no one was around with the authority to go, George, come on. You can't do that. Whereas, in the original movies, there's a lot of people who are just like, fucking, no, stop. That can't go in here. I mean, it's De Palma. It's once again, love Brian De Palma going, George, I don't know what the fuck is happening in this movie. Can you put some kind of like scroll at the beginning? You're like, dude, that's a great note. Like, Brian De Palma does not get enough credit for singularly defining a key part of Star Wars by just simply going, I don't know what the fuck anyone's talking about. Yeah, that's the thing, where you just need people. And certainly, the more King gets power, the more he's able to hire filmmakers like Mick Garris, who are, right or not, I also probably would be, if I was working with King, would probably be like, what do you want, Steve? I can't imagine standing up to him. I'm not here to go like, let me at it.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah. Do you, Mr. King? Thanks. Yeah, it was a cool shot. It's exactly that. And at this point, the other thing you got to keep in mind too is this is right in the middle of, these are massive for ABC. So this network is also just going, as long as you spend no more than this amount of money, whatever Steven wants to do, we are the Stephen King network. Like, pretty much annually, they're big, and this was huge, because who wouldn't have watched this? Of course. I find it interesting there were reviews. There are some. What I like is Entertainment Weekly apparently was the one that just railed against this thing, and then in the Wikipedia it says critics would later, most of them would come around to Entertainment Weekly's view that it really doesn't work. Once again,
weird.
Yeah. Let's talk about Rebecca De Mornay because that's another huge difference, and as a big King criticism of it, this is his Wendy Torrance. And Rebecca De Mornay, very established actress at this point. But it's another thing where King is so fixated on this vision he's created. And I mean that like physically, that's one of the big reasons is like she looks like what Wendy should look like. And
yeah, there's a cover of The Shining, and I don't actually know which edition it's from.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking, the one that kind of looks like a movie poster. Yeah.
And like the Wendy on there, it's like, oh well, that's you squint, and that's Rebecca De Mornay.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because it's weird that someone would look like Rebecca De Mornay. I mean, I'm sure there are suburban housewives that look somewhat similar to that, but like Rebecca De Mornay is her most famous role is as the literal embodiment of like a fantasy woman in risky business, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I guess he's going for this like Hitchcock blonde kind of thing, I think is what's in his head a little bit.
Yeah.
But also the like nurturing mother. It's a weird combination of factors that go into this character. And I will say, and this is, I think she's a very good actress. I think she's doing absolutely what she can with this material. But this character, this version of this character, absolutely makes no sense to me.
Yeah. It's very, like, I feel bad, but, like, my eyes just sort of slide off during her scenes, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well,
because it's just sort of because like right, it's just the same stuff over and over again.
It is the same. By the way, I'm looking at
and
that,
not in a compelling way.
I'm looking at that Shining cover. The Jack Torrance to me looks like Charles Grodin, and I kind of want to see that casting now. He does. He looks like Charles Grodin. I would love to see that. That would be fascinating to me. But like that Charles Grodin of that era, obviously, not Beethoven when we were kids. Charles Grodin, that dog's too big, damn it. But that's what his career became. But the thing about this Wendy too, and this is one of those things where it's like, once again, I think Kubrick was onto something with his casting of Shelley Duvall and that portrayal of that character, even though is like, the stronger you make Wendy, because that's one of his big things. Oh, Wendy's so weak, and is like the stronger you make her, the more in almost every scene I would just be like, she would just fucking divorce this guy. She wouldn't put up with this shit. Like I said, Rebecca De Mornay is portraying a strong, independent woman, but then that's why I'm talking about her character doesn't make any sense to me, because then I don't understand why this woman as portrayed is going like, all right, that's the last time though, buddy. You get one more, and you're just like, you're letting a lot slide.
This version definitely is the one that made me go the most go, okay, why don't she and Danny just leave?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, again.
No,
like
it doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't work, and it's just like, because you're just going like, this woman seems to have a real strong head on her shows. She's also the hottest woman that's ever been on screen. She could do a lot better than this total loser. Because Jack Torrance, no matter what King does and Steven Weber's best efforts, he's just not a particularly likable dude. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't know what it is. I like the character King describes when he talks about Jack Torrance. We talked about this a little bit in the Nixon one, but now that he's directly writing that, this is even more so. It's like, you're not writing that guy, though.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a lot. I feel like oftentimes it's a lot harder to portray like the real nuance of like real human people in a film, like on film.
Totally.
partially because of, the kind of inability to really communicate like internal thoughts, and also like we've seen like David Lynch's Dune having a lot of internal thoughts. It's like that doesn't work. This
it's
also
tough,
having a lot of Jack vocalize his internal thoughts also doesn't really work. It's not very interesting.
It's just not a thing that the medium is really able to do.
Yeah.
And that's no slight. I mean, that's always the thing when people talk about like books and movies. It's just like, no, they all just do different things in different ways.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm not one of these people. I go insane with the people who like, this is the better. That's insane to me. They're all just doing.
Yeah.
But how do you get at the same story through a different lens?
Yeah.
But even still, as you're talking about this, even when he had the ability to do that in the book, I still don't like Jack Torrance.
Oh yeah, no. Like it doesn't accomplish. It's more that it doesn't accomplish what Stephen King thinks it is accomplishing. Like there is some nuance to Jack a little bit, but like not as much as King thinks there is.
Right. And
nearly as much.
There is something, like I said, I get what he's talking about when he talks about Jack Torrance. I'm like, oh, I do kind of want to see the story of this guy who does love his family. Because I do think that is something that kind of irked me in the interview with the Kubrick's co-writer on the documentary about that, where she goes, at the core of it, this was a story about a man who hates his family. I'm like, well, I don't think that's that's weird that that's the attitude you went into it when you were writing, because I don't think that's correct. And I do think that comes into the movie. Their Jack is such a dark figure and does seem to be like, I fucking, even before he's taken over by the hotels, like, I fucking hate it. But then here's the opposite, where King is overcorrecting by going, I love my family. And really trying to, and I think once again, this is a lot to give Steven Weber, especially with such little prep, is really trying to lean harder into the possession aspect of it, right? The whole idea about, and literally when he's fighting the thing within him. And then his heroic sacrifice at the end, of course.
Right.
That allows him to be a good Force ghost back to Star Wars at the end of this movie. That's all I could think about was the end of Return of the Jedi when he's up there as the ghost going, I love you, son. He's one with the Force now.
He's one with the Force. You know how it be. It's just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no, it didn't work. It just doesn't. Yeah, because like it's fundamental. Like again, right? It's up to interpretation. But some interpretations are easier to prove than others. But like, right? I think my interpretation of The Shining is that it is like the story fundamentally is not about a man who hates his family or a man who loves his family. Well, I mean, okay. Jack Torrance loves his family, but is unable and or unwilling to like move on from his trauma,
right,
and to heal.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a very 2024. Whoa, it's 2024. 2024 reading of it, but like.
Well, it's true though. I mean, that's the thing is like the Jack Torrance there is inherent nuance there, but it's interesting that King doesn't lean into it as much as he could or should if he's trying to make that point, because the idea of, as you're talking about, it's not as simple as does he love or hate his family. And when you're talking about the complexity of a human being, is you can be both at the same time. I can love my family in moments and hate them in other moments, and the idea that the Overlook is playing on that, right, is playing to the worst impulses of this flawed man who's. I think the big thing is, and I do get this. The only thing I really get from what King is writing in both the novel and this is Jack Torrance does seem to want to be better. He does seem to want to be a man who is a loving father, but is held back by any number of other reasons, including eventually supernatural stuff. So I do get that, but it's tough because, and you brought this up, and I think this is true. that like, yeah, over the years, it's like people's reading of Jack. I always get the sense that King is like, no, wrong, and then so that makes him like dig in even more about like, no, you don't know, so you don't get it. No, the fact that you think that about him, you didn't get what I was going for. And then instead of going, and this because I don't think King will ever be a guy who will go, maybe I didn't write that clear enough. It's always just like, you've misunderstood. See, the Just King Things episode where the woman they read the letter that the woman wrote in to King about his use of, and it's a purpose, and he's just going, no. See, you've misunderstood. This is on you. Yeah.
I didn't know Mike Hanlon was black until another character.
Yeah, it's just like
said he was.
And that's always a thing where you got to look at, I think I don't think King's like an egomaniac, but I think particularly, especially of the era he's from too, I think today's, and obviously this ebbs and flows, but I think in general, today's creators are a little bit more cognizant of, a lot of people are reacting to something. Maybe that's in my work. Whereas King is very much just like, that's not what I intended. If that's how it came through to you, that's wrong, so it must be on your end.
Yeah.
It is just...
Which is, again...
Yeah,
a bummer to say the least.
It's a bummer. And this is now, I couldn't find anything directly about like quotes other than that there is apparently a commentary on the DVD that I wish I had to listen to, where they talk about that King was basically a third unit director, is what Mick Garris said. Like all the photographs and all the historical stuff in the movie was done by King.
Huh.
Interesting, yeah. But the one thing I will say is he made this. The only way he was allowed to make this was if he agreed to stop publicly bashing the Kubrick movie. That was the stipulation towards allowing him to do this.
Oh.
Which, of course, he has continued to bash post the making of this. But
who's
at least
gonna stop him?
Yeah, but at least during the production of this, I guess he cooled it. He could. I guess the idea was he couldn't go out promoting this, going, "This is the better version."
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, that was that. I think that was the idea, because obviously then immediately he's just quickly like, "Nah, that version fucking sucks."
Yeah. Is Kubrick dead by this point?
No, Kubrick's still alive. He's in the middle of filming Eyes Wide Shut forever.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah, because that's the one where he like died immediately after finishing that movie that took like 5 years to make. Right. I think we talked about that on the Shining thing, that was like famously.
Okay, I was just wondering if like
no, he's still alive.
If Stephen King cooled it on being mean to Stanley Kubrick until he died.
Maybe he did.
Like,
I'm
back, baby.
Yeah.
He died. I won.
Yeah. Like directly under Kubrick's obituary were statements from Stephen King going, "That guy fucking sucked." Did you spot how about the random Sam Raimi cameo that's in this?
I missed the Sam Raimi cameo. I did catch. Did you catch the Miguel Ferrer?
Yes.
Cameo.
Yeah, because he's
pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he's a good choice for the voice of Jack's father.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. There's also a Frank Darabont cameo that I did not spot.
Oh, I missed that too.
Yeah, he's one of the ghosts. But Sam Raimi is the guy who rents the snowcat to Dick Halloran.
Oh,
and it's like
he was all bundled up, so I couldn't tell.
Yeah, and he has one line where he's like, "Yeah, good luck" or something like that. Whatever. He also he's a friend of Mick Garris. I mean, all these guys are friends of each other, all these horror nerds. And Miguel Ferrer, by the way, R.I.P., that dude was one of the biggest fucking nerds in Hollywood. That guy was all about this stuff.
He was so cool.
That guy was awesome, man. Like, literally. I love that any, like, behind the scenes videos, like, oh, he's wearing, like, a Marvel Comics shirt and stuff like that. Like, this guy was just like, hell yeah, I want to be in this show. Hell yeah. Are you kidding me? I want to do this.
Great in Twin Peaks.
I said that was what I liked about Steven Weber, listening to him talk about that, where he's just like, oh yeah, man, oh yeah, I love the King, but I want to do, and they did ask him if he ever met Nicholson, and he goes, once, and I like at a party where he was around, and he was just like, I didn't really say anything to him, or and he goes, there's no way in hell Jack watched this thing. I can't possibly imagine.
I would not have the confidence to go up and be like,
No.
"Hey, Jack Torrance buddies,"
Yeah,
without
no.
the idea that Jack Nicholson would have been like, "What are you talking about?"
He said he made a joke as he was leaving a room and made eye contact, and he goes, "That was enough for me." Just that at some point his consciousness passed over my existence, like, and you're just like, "Yeah, yeah, good one, Jack. Bye." Like,
I
yeah, that's yeah. I can't imagine that where you're just like, I also, because he would just be like, "The fuck you talking about?" I don't, and even if you could tell him like that, makes you be like, "Yeah, I don't care." Just there's no way this made any impression on him. And I would be curious to know if Kubrick ever saw this. Probably not. Once again, because once again he's still making Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah, no, there's no way Kubrick saw. Kubrick feels like a guy who would be like, "I don't own television."
Yeah. 100%. But like he does actually own a television, but he tells everybody he doesn't.
That dirt medium. Yeah, that would be the case. That's the thing. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything there. You were talking about this beforehand. Is there much to say about? There's really not much to say about this, is there?
Right? Like,
for as long as it is, because you're just going like, well, yeah, but they're just kind of doing The Shining. I mean, I don't know what. Like, not a lot jumps out because it's all. And that's the other thing is, for as much as people talk about, oh God, that Shining miniseries, it's not that bad. It's just not good. It moves along. There's not a lot where you're like, oh God. Like Pet Sematary 2, we had a lot because there's just like, what in the hell is happening?
Like every 5 minutes, it felt like there was something. Like, God, it's just something. There's something.
But the biggest thing is, I almost fell asleep a couple times watching this because it's really kind of boring.
Again, like I said, I tried to give it my full attention, tried to give it some benefit of the doubt in moments, but I did fold a lot of my laundry while I was watching it as well.
It's very easy to drift away from it because like we said, it's not bad, but it just kind of chugs along. And splitting into 3 parts is a mistake in that by doing that, basically nothing happens in part 1. I mean, almost nothing happens in part 1. It's all just, it doesn't even start snowing in part 1. That's what I keep telling people that when I'm talking about this. I'm like, there's no snow in part 1. Oh, that was actually a funny thing that I saw in the trivia from it is they were like, this is great. We're going to go to Colorado, so we're going to have the real snow. And then it was like a complete anomaly year where they got like the least amount of snow in the Colorado mountains at the time that they were filming this. But they were like, this is great. And so then they ended up having to spend a ton more money to bring in fake snow. Yeah. But they thought, this is great. By actually shooting Colorado, we'll have the real Colorado winter around. No.
That should have been a sign. Yeah,
it's just like, maybe, you know what? Shut it down. Shut it down.
I had a thought. I thought that might have been the case because there was one particular shot, I think in the second part because there was no, but there's like a shot of the sign, not when Dick is rubbing it off, like rubbing the snow off of it, but there's a shot of the sign getting covered in snow and you can see one tree, but the shot is so close in that all you can really see is the sign and that one tree. And I had the thought like, man, if they zoomed out of this like even by like a foot, it would just be like fake snow on a completely clear.
Well, the other thing,
everything else
on that point, the real Stanley Hotel is not isolated at all, like the Overlook, and so apparently they had to constantly keep the angles away from showing the very active, like tourist-filled park right next to it.
Yeah.
Something we didn't do that I guess we can do now is we're trying to fill time. But no, I mean, like I said, but like I didn't placing this in. We didn't talk about the Interim King movies in years. Let's touch on. So what the last we had was Pet Sematary 2, and was it 92? 93?
Yes,
yeah, 92. All right, so let's see. Well, in that same year, we have Sleepwalkers, which is his first collaboration with Mick Garris, which he wrote, which is about evil cats, if I remember it correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a number of years. But so he has that. The Dark Half comes out in '93.
Oh, right.
George Romero's The Dark Half. Romero finally made a King thing, because we talked about Romero almost made Pet Sematary and almost made It. Mm-hmm. And so he makes the Dark. I thought that was okay.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I watched it for the first time a couple years ago when I was just like binging a bunch of horror movies because I needed to feel something.
Yeah, been there.
But both that and I think this may also come out in the interim, but what's the fucking one with David Arquette?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh God!
And now I've cursed you.
Great. Was that Silver Bullet?
No.
No. Sorry, no, not
the bullet.
Riding the bullet. That's it. Which is also Mick Garris. Riding the Bullet. That's why I was like.
So those are two I watched, and without realizing that they were based on Stephen King works or in collaboration with Stephen King, and I got to a point like a couple minutes into both of them being like, hang on a second, wait a minute.
Riding the Bullet.
Riding the Bullet is again.
Yeah. Riding the Bullet is after this. That's 2004, but that's also a Mick Garris directed one. But what's interesting is also in '93 is Needful Things.
Oh,
and what's interesting is both Needful Things and The Dark Half both have Sheriff Alan Pangborn as a central character, but he's played by two different people because they
two different
so
dudes.
You have Michael Rooker's playing him in Dark Half, and then Ed Harris is playing him in Needful Things. And Needful Things is all right. That's another one it's all right. I really like Ed Harris. That's
I've never seen or read Needful Things actually. That's one of the ones one of my blank spots.
A big one comes out in '94, which is Frank Darabont's The Shawshank Redemption, of course, which is that's the most prestige. I mean, that's like for the longest time was IMDb's #1 movie of all time, highest rated. Like that's just like a masterpiece that I think people. That's one of those that when people go like, "That's based on a King story," you're like, it's not. Yeah. It's not scary.
Actually one of the instances where adding a bunch of stuff to it
really works.
Made it work.
Really works
better.
Yeah. I know it's one of those.
Made it work all right.
Yeah. Hot take. Shawshank's really fucking good. And great Clancy Brown performance is not insane. 95 we have The Mangler. The Mangler. Which is objectively bad, but I also love. Like it's one of those where it's like it's so dumb, but I love it. And it has Robert Englund. Who just makes everything better. Dolores Claiborne comes out in 95 too. Another kind of, I mean, there's that whole run of the Dolores Claiborne is in of his books that are a little bit more literature with a capital L, maybe.
Yeah,
you would say, right?
Still some funky, some weird stuff going on in them, but a little more a little more about as down to earth as Steve.
Yeah, and that's another one that had like Oscar buzz around it and was like a prestige picture. Even though it's
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates, great, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, one of my absolute favorite actresses. Love Jennifer Jason Leigh. I've never seen Night Flyer, but that comes out
haven't either.
That comes out the same year as this, and that's Miguel Ferrer is the star of that.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah,
shit, I should see that.
Yeah, I need to see
Night
this.
Flyer as a short story is fine.
Yeah, this was an HBO original movie. So a little bit that's a little bit higher quality probably because they put in some stuff. So Night Flyer comes out in 97, and then what else came out in TV? Yeah, we had The Shining. Oh, of course, The Langoliers in 1995. That was the 1995 ABC miniseries. Langoliers, man. I still need to listen to the Kingcast does have an interview with Bronson Pinchot, who's in that, which I want to listen to, and I love Bronson Pinchot. So he also does a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah.
And
I got a huge soft spot for the Langoliers.
Langoliers is it's fun, even though it's like when it's another one that's like I don't know if I can really like if somebody was really like, come on, man, I would be like, okay, but I do kind of enjoy it, yeah. And that's Tom Holland again, who made Langoliers, and that's a rare not Mick Garris one in this era. So, and of course, and then Mick Garris did The Stand, which which was huge for them, and I think much more successful as a miniseries than The Shining, because that is one that, once again, whether you like it or not, there are a lot of moving pieces in it that do matter. Like that, you kind of can't compress. And if anything, that still 4 parts may not have been enough. And then we get to my disappointment with the Paramount Plus version, where I was so excited about, because they were going to give it the full 10 episodes, but they made some key things that I think were huge mistakes in it. Not just casting Ezra Miller, which was a massive mistake, but that's a big problem.
I think their initial mistake was deciding that it needed to be readapted at all.
Well,
but that's just me.
There is that. The Stand is one of the ones I have a real soft spot for. I just like it's so insane and comic booky, and which I love about it. But making it this out of order, because they basically turned into Lost. Where instead of the book happens linearly as we descend into the apocalypse, whereas this focused on each character already and then went back to, and you're like, oh, this is just destroying the narrative momentum of this thing.
Because with something like Lost, that works a little better, because it's not like there is a piece of media that already exists and has existed for decades to be like,
right. And Lost is something where they talk a lot. I mean, Lindelof and stuff has talked a lot about King was a massive influence on it, which is an interesting thing.
I mean, you can tell.
Yeah, I mean it's so interesting. That's what I thought was so interesting about the Stand thing, was that they started to borrow from Lost, when Lindelof talks a lot about the Stand being a huge and now it's like, now the thing that's inspired by the thing is inspiring an adaptation. It gets into that weird soup of pop culture.
And it's just being reduced and reduced until there's nothing left.
1996, we get Thinner, also from Tom Holland.
Oh, yeah.
Which, God, I haven't seen that forever. I can't even really speak to what my thoughts on that are.
It's...
I mean, that's not a book I have any particular love for.
No, but... oh, God, the Criminal Minds guy.
Oh, it's Joe Mantegna.
Joe Mantegna is in Thinner, and he's pretty great. He's another one that just kind of chews up the scenery and kind of makes a lot of it bearable.
A lot of these adaptations are saved by casting really good actors who are just like, got it, and sort of like they're given permission to go nuts, because the tone of these things is so insane and the subject matter is so nuts. Thinner. And then something that King writes that is so bizarre is it's a short film / music video, Michael Jackson's Ghosts. This was in that era when Michael Jackson was doing like Captain EO with Coppola and Lucas, and King and Mick Garris and Stan Winston come together and it's a 40-minute short film. It was planned for release in conjunction with Addams Family Values.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is, again, weird, because Addams Family Values, I have watched.
Oh, so many times.
In the double digits numbers of times.
As you should. Both of the Barry Sonnenfeld Addams Family movies are absolute classics.
Kick-ass.
Yeah, and come at me. I don't care. They're great. They're absolutely great. But anyway, it ended up. It was originally supposed to be with that. They didn't get it done for that, and it did come out in conjunction with Thinner. Mentioned there, so I don't know.
Weird choice again.
Yeah.
I mean, making Thinner was a weird choice, both as a movie and as a book. But
but that's another one where it feels like they were just like, well, it's a King book, so we should make it into a big movie, right?
I mean, right? We're on this. I mean, the mid, like the 90s, like the solid 90s. I don't know what that means. The mid 90s.
Yeah.
Had this huge King run that we're kind of
we're
kind of back in the.
Yeah. Oh, we're
early 2020s.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah. Every 15 to 20 years, we're like, you know what, King's really good. I mean, the fact that there was a huge major studio release of The Boogeyman like this last year, crazy.
God, don't get me fucking started.
I still haven't watched the movie.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I probably will at some point, but
I will too.
It has Dave. See, that's one of those things. It has Dave DeSmalchin in it, who's one of my favorite actors right now. I love Dave DeSmalchin, and also because he's a huge fucking nerd.
Just the Boogeyman is such a nothing story.
I know but they just can't help them. They're just looking for anything. It's crazy to me. Then
I'm not surprised because Mr. Harrigan's phone is also a nothing story. Never gonna be over that.
Mr. Harrigan's phone is an example of it's just that was a flawed from the start, regardless of what you think of the movie. It's just like, no, there just wasn't anything here.
Wasn't anything here.
Only Mike Flanagan should be allowed to adapt those because his Gerald's Game movie is shockingly good, and that shouldn't work by any stretch of the imagination. But anyway, so that's what was going on up to this. I would say, once again, where does this stand in the, lexicon of this? Right where it belongs. It's pretty much forgotten because it's just not worth. Yeah. Once again, it's not worth. It's not a massive failure, and it's not particularly good. So, I think it's all right if people just let this one go. It's a little bit like we did the Salem's Lot miniseries, the 2000s one over on Meet the Monsters, and it's not good. But then that was another thing where it's like, yeah, that just isn't around, and it's okay. That's okay.
It's okay. It's fine.
And so I talked about what did Uncle Stevie think? He basically.
Actually, I would like to know. Like he was so in.
I know, it's so interesting. I couldn't
inextricable from this process. What did he think?
Yeah, he doesn't talk about it. It's so crazy. I tried so hard to find any quotes about it. I said it's more I have anecdotes from people like Steven Weber, who was like King was around, but it also didn't seem like he was like a domineering presence as much as he was just there. Like Weber talked about, he always just was like reading a book in the corner while they were shooting, and you could go up to him if you had questions about anything, but he was just sitting there reading. He just wanted to be around. I guess he had trust in Mick Garris, and he was just like, well, I'll be here in case I have to step in.
Listen, I wrote the teleplay.
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted was for me to write the thing that I wanted and have someone I trust and put it on screen.
I just imagine.
Just let me know when you're ready to put me in the ghost makeup.
Yeah. Then I'm in there, right?
And then I'm in there.
Yeah. I just imagine him writing the teleplay was literally him copying passages of the book and pasting it into a screenwriting program.
Format.
Yeah. Boom. Done. All right. See, how hard was that, Kubrick?
Stan.
Yeah, that's right, Stan. Yeah.
I think that the only things that, like, again, like, it doesn't seem like, either of us have a ton of background knowledge about like how this miniseries was made, but like there's a couple of things that that are not from the book, and right, this whole thing is like, I'm just making a book that I would be interested to know.
That's why I wish I had the DVD to listen to that commentary, because that would be fascinating.
Because, like, I mean, okay, this is more of just like, oh man, I wish this had happened, but I get why it didn't. But like the fact that they didn't let Melvin Van Peebles like fucking punch a
biggest
shrub,
because that's the coolest part of the hedge creatures to me. You're like, Dick Halloran fucking kills one in the most badass manner. Yeah, and I want to see Melvin Van Peebles, who was a cinema badass of the 1970s, do that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, let him kick ass. He's just cool because Melvin Van Peebles is cool, but he doesn't actually do a whole lot other than he still kind of just gets them, even though he lives, he still kind of just gets them the Snowcat.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's really all Halloran does in the book, which it makes sense that that's all he does in this.
Yeah, it's once again, it speaks to the performances, and also I just love the character of Dick Halloran. Like, I wish, talk about, if you're gonna do a prequel of this, give me young Dick Halloran adventures or something. If you have to,
because we know he was fucking living in Derry.
Yeah, man, they should be all. I can't believe they aren't all over that. That seems like an obvious thing that they would be like. The Shining and It can somehow come. If we can put these things together, that leads to all the money.
No, it's because it is too long and nobody actually read that part.
Well, no, that's another thing. No one at Warner Brothers has read any of these books, really. They had their assistants synopsize them for them.
But the other thing that was interesting, and I tried to do some math, and it did. The theory did not pan out, but the one of the things that, I mean, I'm glad it's not in here because it's not a very good part in the book either, really, is the, like, as they are exiting, and as like the hotel is burning down, there is like a creature that flies out
Yes.
of the hotel.
That's right.
And there was so what I the first thought I had was, oh, was maybe like at this point, 97, was Doctor Sleep like already a thing he was formulating? No, because that book didn't come out until like
Yeah, he
2014 or
talked
something,
because
so
he
like,
talked
it doesn't
about
really make sense.
he talked about Doctor Sleep basically came out of so many people asking him over the years
Right.
about what happened to Danny. So maybe he was in the loosest, but not literally. Yeah, putting it into
Because the thing about, like, because right, the thing about Doctor Sleep is that in the book, at least, like, the Overlook area, despite not being a hotel any longer, still has some of that energy. So like, maybe it wouldn't make sense that whatever flew out did.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, my thought is just that, like, it was probably an effect that they couldn't afford, or they maybe tried it and it looked stupid because it is.
Once the hotel,
and they already had enough stupid shit.
Because it is interesting. Like, once the hotel blows up, this thing is basically over. Like, right? Like, they're out of there. There's not a lot of sort of like, oh, the hotel is burning, we got to get out. It's like they escape, the hotel blows up, and then 10 years later, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, come on, movie. And wait, the thing we didn't talk. I can't believe we didn't talk about this. Tony. We didn't talk about Tony. And the Tony's there, and
what did I write?
And that Tony is future Danny.
Yes,
which is supposed to be the case in the book, right? I mean,
yes.
but to literally see that.
All I wrote was floating Tony. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, and he's and it's not the actor's fault because but like he's just this like, how you doing? He's just the most like bland dude in glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so Will Horniff is the actor who plays Tony, and of course then Danny at the end.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, once again, if you haven't read the book, I have a feeling, what kind of impact does that have when you just go like, wait, wasn't that, if anything, you would just be like, wasn't that the ghost guy that he was seeing? What?
Like, it feels like there's supposed to be, it's supposed to be more of like a mic drop moment when they call his name. It's like, Daniel Anthony Torrance.
Yeah.
And of course, also, that's like the only one that everybody claps for too.
Yeah,
like, like, Daniel Anthony Torrance is graduating with honors. Wow, yeah. All you other kids, fuck off.
Also, he's definitely not thinking about Dr. Sleep, because this is not the Daniel Torrance that becomes the Dr. Sleep Daniel Torrance at all.
That was the other thing. I was like, yeah, that's...
Yeah, and the Dr. Sleep one makes a lot more sense to me. It's like, oh no, that kid would be fucked up forever. Like, there'd be that kid doesn't graduate and everything's fine. No. How do you... And oh god. Already old Melvin Van Peebles with even more gray in his hair, and aged up Rebecca De Mornay just going, oh, he did it, we've done it. It's just, man, it's because I don't think King, especially young King, which is, like a lot of the best King, will just be like, fuck you, this isn't gonna have a happy ending. So for him to suddenly just get real sappy, and like even Spielberg is going, Jesus Christ. It's just so strange that this was his instinct. Because there was no way this was mandated by anybody. King's not answering anybody.
So, like, right, John? Again, this is almost literally what happens in the book.
I'm trying to remember. Is the ghost of Jack Torrance there at the end of the book?
Yes.
Oh wow. Then I've just blocked that from my memory.
Yeah, because it's not a great way to end.
No. And once again, I don't, and it has nothing to do with the themes of it, really, beyond, once again, what King seems to think the themes are. It's really weird. This is begging for an ending that's just like, I mean, much like the Kubrick movie, where it's just like they just get away, and then like, I don't fucking know what's gonna happen to them. I mean, I guess I do because I've seen Dr. Sleep, but it's oh god, it's the worst impulse from a guy who normally is quick to give you the middle finger and going like, oh no, fucking man, that dog's gonna kill everybody.
Yeah.
Where's the guy who wrote Cujo?
Well, I mean, Cujo's getting a follow-up in the short story collection.
I can't believe that. That's the.
I know. I think I brought this up already, but
yeah.
I just can't. I can't imagine what that's going to be.
Seeing that as a headline, like, continues the. I'm like, man, one of his works that absolutely no one had any questions about or was asking for.
And it's focused on the husband, who is arguably the least interesting character from Cujo. IMO.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, weird. It's weird once again, but it does feel like he's like, well, I thought about it though. So if I thought about it, I have to put it on paper because Steven's got to put something out. Uncle Stevie's got to put out a book every couple months, or else he's gonna get the shakes again or something.
He won't stop.
The man can't stop. He can't stop. No, that's what it is. It's a compulsion. It is. It does sort of. It makes sense that he has a history with addiction, right? Because it sort of feels like it's like, well, if I'm not going to drink or do drugs, I'm going to put these books out.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen. As long as I think that's true probably for a lot of it. It's just like, if I just keep writing, then I'm not going to drink. And hey, that's good. I'll take a handful
as a coping tool. I love coping tools.
Yeah,
it's not the worst one.
And the thing about it is, as we've talked about, he's so prolific, and every once in a while he does connect still, and every once in a while he still gets one where you're like, damn, I really liked his. I mean, I really like all the stuff he's done with from the Mr. Mercedes into with the Holly Gibney stuff. That's great, and the new one was really good. That's cool stuff. It's kind of fun to see him playing like detective fiction stuff like that.
Yeah, I do think that I do like that mode of his.
Yeah, and that's the thing where and him not. I can't believe they're making. God, somebody is going to do The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Wow, that's not. I don't know if I want to see that movie necessarily. Yeah, because I'm just. If you go to the Wikipedia page for movies based on King novels, there's like 40 that are in various stages of development, because they just announced. I don't know if this is dating this probably from when you're hearing this, and I'm sure the movie's already out, maybe even, but who knows. But they're making The Long Walk.
Yes. Yeah. Oh God, I did post about this in the Just King Things Discord, from the director of Avril Lavigne's music video Girlfriend, a bunch of the Hunger Games movies, and Water for Elephants.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this gonna be like?
God, the Hunger Games is what got him that, right? Like 100%. Somebody went.
Yeah, the
kids and dystopian. He
just most recently directed, I think, was the song.
Oh, the song of birds and fire.
Fire.
Sparrow
I'm so old. John, we're so old.
I know. I totally missed the Hunger Games thing. I was 100% not the appropriate age for that at that point. That I was like, what?
I did read the original trilogy, but the movies have missed me.
Yeah, I think I saw the first movie and went, "Ooh, this is a dark concept that is presented in a very kid-friendly manner."
Yeah.
So
Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
There you go. Yeah, well, that was easy to remember. Once again, though, they always get good actors. I saw the trailer for that, and I'm like, damn, if Peter Dinklage doesn't bring gravitas to everything he says in this trailer. When's he going to do a King? I want to see Dinklage. I don't know what it would be, but I'm just saying, like...
I'm sorry, John. You would like to see Peter Dinklage, an actor who has dwarfism, in something written by Stephen King.
Let me say in that type of mode or something like that. That type of story. Maybe not literally a King work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say.
Yeah. I think I just want a horror movie with Dinklage.
Yeah. There we go. We drilled down into
That's
it.
more what I'm saying. Yeah, I would like to see it. Yeah. No, you're right. If it's not a middle-class white dude, you're in trouble in a King work, let's be honest. So yeah, that's that. Let's look at some highs and lows of people's reactions. These were basically exactly what I thought they would be. Like, you could probably guess the opinions of the high and low of this, right? Because let's start with the low review here. This comes from J.L. Robertson, who I don't disagree with a lot of this, who titles the review "Boring, Redundant, and Long." Proof once again that Stephen King has a tin eye for film and has no idea how to effectively adapt his own work. This version has no mystery, no scares, and explains far, far too much at every twist and turn for fear even one person in the TV audience might be confused. I don't necessarily agree with this next sentence. This Danny is butt-faced and far too precocious. In fact, making you wonder, given this Wendy, who unlike the underrated Shelley Duvall version, one cannot see staying with Jack even a moment after he broke their child's arm, believes in Danny's powers. We didn't talk about that. Yeah, she is like way too instantly like, boy's got powers, Jack, and you know it. Like from moment one.
From moment one, she's like, did Dad get the job? Yay! Like,
yeah.
Okay. Just, okay, that's a weird way to think about.
Yeah, very, very bizarre. Why they ended up going to the Overlook in the first place? Yeah, once again, this Wendy doesn't feel like she would be like, sure, let's do that. The digital effects are laughably cheesy. A fire hose with fangs, it looks like something out of a Razor commercial. Yeah, we didn't talk. The fire hose is maybe worse than the hedge animals, actually, because it actually comes right at the camera.
It does. Like they're and it is effective. The fire hose is effectively used as like a thing to be scared of, but again it just explains the fact that it has to be like, oh, you would think that maybe this is a snake or some sort of monster, like it's just shoved right in your face.
There's just not an ounce of subtlety in this thing. No. The digital effects are laughably cheesy. Fire hose with the fangs and the head channel. Speaking of which, how hard can it be to get the effect of beasts that only move when you're not looking? These look terrible, like blobs of green mercury sliding across the landscape. The ghosts all have blue skin and terrified me about as much as a cloudless sky. And Tony is shown here and looks like John Denver. Ooh, creepy. Add to this a diabetes-inducing ending that isn't in the book even, but I think similar to what I'm saying, we're all just forgetting it is apparently, because that's horrible. And you have a waste of 6 hours. You could be doing something more useful, like drinking yourself to death. It's accurate to the book, except the tunnel scene, but now we see that an accurate adaptation simply doesn't work in this movie. In this case, as a movie, Kubrick's is a masterpiece. This is shallow and dumb. Don't see it. Okay?
Yeah.
That's about what I mean, and once again, I agree with a lot of that. They're maybe a little more hyperbolic than I would be, but okay, sure. Then this is 100% what I figured would be the positive review, which comes from Klatchman, and the review is titled, "This is The Shining, the way it's supposed to be."
Yeah.
This is, it's going to be a King stan, right? When Stanley Kubrick made his version of Stephen King's book, I was so furious at what he did with the story. I refused to watch it for many years, hoping against hope that someday King's version would get told properly. Imagine my excitement when this came on TV in the 90s. It was brilliantly scripted by King himself and beautifully acted by Steven Weber and the gorgeous Rebecca De Mornay. Get ready for more comments about De Mornay.
She's not gonna fuck you.
You can quibble about Jack Nicholson versus Weber all you want. One's a ham, the other, Weber, actually brought a sense of terrifying reality to this version of the film, which the ham did not. But I dare anyone who has seen both films to prefer the shrill shrieking of olive oil to the underplayed, sensual, and immensely sexy De Mornay.
Oh my god.
Beyond
Did Stephen King write this one?
And my book, I mean the book. Beyond that, for me, this is the scarier film because this is the book that brought to life as well as the miniseries format could do. The Overlook may not be as cavernous as in the Kubrick version, but is much more real and palpably more frightening, as are the character interactions within the story. No elevators gushing blood here, thank God. You may miss Nicholson wielding an axe in a pivotal scene, spouting, "Here's Johnny," but if you do, you may not have read the book. And in the book and in this film, it's a much different and blunter instrument. If you have a family and your kids are old enough to watch this, watch it together. If they're Danny's age, watch it alone. 10 out of 10 stars. Yeah.
I quibble so much when people are like, this isn't realistic, so it's not scary.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like a realistic like
Yeah.
area or situation, or like it doesn't look like real life. It's like
The hamminess of Nicholson's performance as well kind of goes into that, right?
like the so and ugh, sorry. Max, as you can see,
Yeah.
but our audience
Yeah.
cannot. Max is very much wanting my attention. He's
Yeah.
kind of shedding a lot too. I can't find his brush. He probably
Yeah.
hid it from me because he doesn't like getting groomed.
Oh.
Um, but and I think this happens a lot, especially with Stephen King stuff, because a lot of his ideas, the ideation for his stories is situations that he is either experiencing or observing, and he's like, what if this happened? Like, what if some wild thing that's not, like, what if there was a fucking alien that ate
Right.
kids, or
Right.
what if this hotel was haunted? And I think that maybe there is this idea that in order for that to be visualized, it has to be that same kind of thought process.
It's the real world plus, right? The real world with this addition to it.
Yeah.
And
I just think that's again, it's a trap. It's a trap.
It 100% is. And I think the thing that's so interesting that's what people harp on, because I think that's the thing that really works about the Kubrick version. I think the criticisms I have of the Kubrick version are that there is something lost, and Kubrick was never particularly a very emotional filmmaker, a very heartfelt filmmaker, and I think that some of the family stuff is lost in that. But the thing he absolutely masters is the unnerving, chilling nature of the look of it, and the weirdness of things, right? The idea that reality is not what it seems in that. And also, this guy harps on the blood coming out of the elevator is like one of the coolest shots in any horror movie. It's still so effective and oft imitated, never equaled, sort of thing, right? Like, that's just so. It's like, it's not from the book, but I don't see that as being like inconsistent with anything from the book either.
No.
Yeah, that's baffling to me. Like I said, I think there are quibbles to have with that, but both Stephen King and this IMDb user are not having the right ones, in my opinion.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, so next week on the show, we're gonna watch a movie I've never seen. That is in the Pet Sematary 2 vein of an original sequel to a King work, and that is The Rage: Carrie 2.
Yeah. I don't think I've never seen this either. So
I remember I remember seeing the trailer for it when it came out. And I think distinctly, I can only imagine the initial reaction was a distinct why. Carrie 2. The only returning character and cast member is Amy Irving as Sue Snell.
Okay.
Yeah. No, and this is unlike Pet Sematary 2, though. This is not, of course, not a Brian De Palma film. No involvement from him or from King. So this is an entirely studio-generated project. And
so Amy Irving is returning as Sue Snell. So
yes.
We can only assume that because this movie is about 20-ish years removed, that she is no longer playing a teenager. Fingers crossed.
No, I think she's a teacher or something at the high school now, or something like that, right? Like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I think the vibe is a distinct, like, I've seen this before.
Okay.
I think that's the idea. Is like, oh God, it's happening again. Because everything about it is just like, there's a new girl with telekinetic powers at a high school. Don't make fun of her. It'll go. I mean,
it's giving Prom Night 2 Hello Mary Lou.
A very not referenced movie that is totally insane.
Totally insane.
I mean, totally insane. Got to be one of the most insane horror movie sequels. Well, yeah. We'll talk. I've never seen it. 1999. We're gonna jump 2 more years to that. So the other thing I'm very curious, just in terms of what I'm expecting, is we're firmly in that like Dimension Films era that we've talked a lot about over on. If you listen to Meet the Monsters, we talk a lot about that, where you start to get into that post-Scream. I'm wondering if this is going to have a snarkier tone in that vein. I don't know. But there was a lot of sort of snarky, self-aware teen horror at this point. The Faculty, the Halloween sequels they made in there, like H2O and stuff like that. In fact, I think this might be the same year as H2O that this comes out. I think that was 79 to 99. I think was the 20 years, because H2O, very clever, was age 20 years later.
Yeah.
Well done.
Can't wait for Resurrection.
Oh, man. Trick or treat, motherfucker.
God.
My God. All right. So, yeah, Rage Carrie 2 is next week. Once again, really no idea what to expect. Never seen it. So, we're actually the next 3 weeks we'll be spending in the world of Carrie on this show. It's all Carrie.
That's right.
And yeah, because Carrie 2.
All Carrie all the way down.
Yeah, it's all Carrie. We go Carrie crazy for a while there. But this is the weird outlier in that it does not have Carrie in it. So so that will be next week on the show. Of course, as mentioned, we do have a Patreon page which you can go over to on our Podbean, which is patreon.podbean.com/punchup. There you can get cool exclusive bonus content from this show and all the shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network. So be sure to do that. But that is going to do it for this episode of the IP Squad. Until next week, the case file is closed.
Hi. My name is Stephen King. I'm gonna scare the hell out of you, and that's a promise.